Hi guys, I hope you're all doing well today. I'm going to do kind of a little different of a video. It's not going to necessarily be a song lesson, it's just going to be a theory-based lesson. So before you shut this off, I want to address the most basic theory lesson, and I think it's very important to start understanding key signatures and chords, because chords belong to a group of notes that are in a certain key, and we derive the chords from it. So I'm actually going to show you kind of what it is on the fretboard, and I'll have some on-screen visuals as well so that you can kind of follow along. I'm going to keep this really easy, and I'm going to keep it in the key of C major. C major is usually the first key and scale that people study solely for the fact that it has no sharps and flats. It's all natural notes. And what I mean by natural notes is I'll get into that in a minute as well. So, as I was saying, each note of a scale is tied together with a certain chord. So, a lot of the times, we'll hear a progression. Let's say it's in C major, because I'm keeping it in C. I have C major, A minor, G, F, C major, A minor, G, F. And what I'm getting those chords based out of that scale. So what I mean by that is in the C major scale, I have certain notes that go along with the chords of the notes that belong in that scale. So I'm going to zoom in on the fretboard and I'll show you the actual scale itself, and then I will explain how the chords work from it and how it's derived. Hey guys, so like I said in my intro, I'm going to keep this all in C major. This is important to start understanding how key signatures work with the major scale. This is slowly going to be major for right now. We can get into minor later if that's requested. But as I was saying, regardless, we're going to keep this in major. And the reason why this is important is because we're going to start developing the skills to figure out how chords are derived from a scale. So the reason I'm keeping it in C major is because I'm not going to have any sharps or flats. If I play the C major diatonically, which means which is based off of whole, half, whole, half, which is the formula that we get to create a major scale, I will have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the C is just my octave note. Now, a lot of people will recognize this scale as Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, Ti, La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. That's usually how singers warm up. It doesn't matter though. Regardless, so we're in the key of C, and each note in that major scale of C is going to correspond to a chord that belongs to the key of C major. So on my first note, I have a C note. That's going to be the chord C major. The first chord of any major scale is always major. The second note is D. The second note of any major scale is going to be a minor chord. So we have D minor. The third note is E, and that is also going to be minor, so we're going to have an E minor. Then I'm going to have an F. My fourth note of any major scale is going to be major, so I have F major. My fifth note is going to be G, so I'm going to have a G major. Then I'm going to get down to this A note right here, and that's going to be A minor. The sixth is going to be the relative minor, always. And then the seventh, which is the seventh of the scale, is B, which is always a chord that's not really talked about, and it's actually a B minor 7 flat 5 or B half diminished. They mean the same thing. This chord is not usually used in a lot of popular music. It's usually used more in jazz. If you had doing a jazz kind of tune, you'd have something like. It's usually used as a chord to transfer into like a new section of music. It's very rarely used, but it is important. So anyway, like I said, if we take this major scale in any key, we'll know the formula of what chords we'll have. And this is really important to know, because let's say you want to learn how to play a song and you know that it's in the key of C. Okay, you only have X amount of chords to choose from that can belong in that key if we're speaking diatonically. Diatonically means in that key. So if I have a song that's in C major, like for example, let me play John Lennon's Imagine. So that song is in C, and it goes, the reason I know that it's in C and that I know the next chords is basically I can determine what chords are in that song just by knowing what key I'm in. I only have those sets of chords that I can choose from. So like I said, if I'm on the first note of a scale, it's always going to be major. On the second note, which is in C, is D, I'm going to have a minor chord, which is D minor. If I have the third note of the scale, it's an E, it's also going to be minor. If I have the fourth, it's going to be major, so I got F. The fifth is G, I'm going to have a G major. The seventh is, the sixth is going to be that A, then I know I'm going to have an A minor. That seventh is going to be B, I'm going to have a B minor 7 flat 5 or a B half diminished. And then I'm going to be right back up to that octave again. So in the key of C major, I have C major, and this is in order. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B half diminished, or B minor 7 flat 5, then back to C major. So we got C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B half diminished, C. And if you listen to how I strum through those, you'll kind of hear the major scale underneath it. So guys, that's really important, and I hope you learned something from that and you can actually kind of understand how this works. And I think it's also important to visualize not only just guitar, because unfortunately guitar is based on a very non-visual way to learn. If we look at piano, and I'm going to have an image of a piano on the screen here, all of the white notes are in the key of C. Unfortunately on guitar we don't have that luxury, because depending on where you move your finger and what string you're on, it could be either a sharp or flat. There's not really a visual way to understand how it works on guitar, but piano is a really great example of how it works. A piano has all white keys and all black keys. Every single white key is a natural note. So if you start on a C and play all the way up on the C's, or on the white keys, you're going to have C major. It's that simple. You hit any of the black keys, then that's when you're going to start having sharps and flats.